ain't about that no more. It ain't about the fame. It ain't about how much money you got. It's what you doing for your people and what it is. Because they got golf clubs, country clubs, banks, everything for them. And they let you know it's not for you. We didn't build this for you. Rolex, Timberland, all Gucci, Louis, all these that we wear, they tell me we didn't make this for you.
Right.
And we still spend the most collectively on all of that. Instead of putting it into, you got your, what I asked you about when you was coming from the bathroom.
Yes, yeah, he asked me what I was doing with my clothing brand and what we trying to do financial literacy for the collegiate kids.
Why would I go spend $50,000 in Gucci? I could go spend $50,000 with him and we can really do this.
Dime life.
Facts.
J.R. Smith right there talking about the importance of Black-owned businesses, in particular Black people spending with Black-owned businesses. Now, many people may not know who J.R. Smith is, but he's gotten a lot of attention from this latest interview. That clip was from the I Am Athlete interview series, or I Am Athlete podcast, with B. Marshall and many other athletes who work on that podcast. Now, great topic. Now, there's some other things that I want to talk about as well, but here's a couple of things I want you to think about. Black unemployment right now is 6.9% just in the Black community. Guess what white unemployment is, or let's say national unemployment? It's 4%. Now, those numbers have always been out of sync, out of whack for whatever reason. Many people try to say it's not a systemic issue. I would tend to disagree. But we know one thing is for certain, that Black-owned businesses tend to hire Black people. And the more people do business with Black-owned businesses, the more opportunity you have to level out Black unemployment. Basically, more people that can get to work, more people that can get the money. So if you're interested in my thoughts on this, come on over to the other side. Welcome to the Finance Rebel Show, everybody. I'm Kamari Ellis, the Finance Rebel. You know, on this show, we talk about all things money, stocks, taxes, business, Black wealth, anything that can help promote and push the financial IQs of the Black community to a higher rate. We talk about it here. All right, so today we're talking about Mr. J.R. Smith, who recently was just on the I Am Athlete podcast, and he expressed his views about some of the conditions in the Black community. Now, I just showed you one. I have another one I want to show you, but I want to talk about this first one, right? He talked about the importance of Black-owned business. Very, very crucial. You don't often hear that kind of talk from athletes, from Black athletes, but let's talk about Mr. Smith real quick. He's very special. He's 16 years in the NBA, won 2 championships, approximately made about $90 million per some of the reports. I never really put a whole bunch of stock in them, but I just want to give you a little bit of context of the person that we're talking about. And he kind of gets a little bit of a bad boy image as well. I don't know if all that's true, but again, I wanted to just throw that in for context. All right. Now, what's he doing lately? Lately, he retired from the NBA and he went back to college. He went to North Carolina A&T. And guess what he's doing at A&T? He's also a Division I golfer at A&T, which I think is super duper dope. So many of you know that I like golf. I kind of play golf anytime I'm on the greens. I'm trying to think I'm Tiger Woods, but really more like a landscaper out there, just designing the greens and putting divots in the greens. But I appreciate the fact here you have this Black man who golfs, is trying to bridge the gap for golfing and has a great appreciation for the Black community. Now, let's talk about why his comments were so impactful. Before I get into that, though, I want to give a shout out to my boy Kevin. He sent me this clip. Appreciate you, Kevin. He said, I know you're going to love this. And he was right. I totally love this clip. This is probably one of the best I Am Athlete interviews that I've seen in quite a while, and they've got a lot of great interviews over on that platform. He talked about the importance of Black folks buying from Black-owned businesses. He talked about why buying from these other so-called big name brands is very problematic, and how, which is kind of implied, and how we are kind of helping keep the same issues going in our community by not supporting our own businesses that do good business, that provide great products and services to their customers and clients. And he said, again, why should I go spend at these establishments? But like I said in the intro to the video, the more money we spend with Black-owned businesses, the more employment we can have. Now, Maggie Anderson authored a book called Our Black Year. I talk about it a lot. You're probably tired of me talking about it, but and I'll put it around here somewhere, right? I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. Our Black Year, Maggie Anderson and her family went on the journey to buy Black as much as possible for 1 year. And some of the studies that were done around this book were to discover that only 2% of Black spending went to Black-owned businesses. And at the time, Black spending was about 1.2 trillion. Right now, it's 1.6 trillion, current day, 2022. And so that's problematic. And Maggie was able to summarize that if the Black community went from just spending 2% of their money with Black-owned businesses to 10% of their money with their businesses, it would create 1 million jobs overnight. 1 million jobs overnight. So I would highly suggest everyone pick up that book. Matter of fact, I think I have it right here. I thought I had it. Maybe it's over here. Oh, there it is. So I would say get that book. It's a great book, great read. Our Black Year. But again, tying that into what J.R. Smith was talking about, it's really problematic that a lot of times we put so-called luxury brands above our own Black-owned businesses. And again, it's not even a thing about dislike or like. It's really a thing about functionality and service. So functionality is it employs more people, right? It employs more people in the Black community. If you have more people employed in the Black community, what happens? Potentially less crime. Potentially gives other people opportunities to do things educational, career-wise that they might have not had if they didn't have that job. So again, there's a whole lot of other reasons why you want to participate in spending in the Black economy. That's that. Now, I want to show you this other clip that JR talked about. Something a lot of us don't want to talk about. I think a lot of us are scared to talk about, but he wasn't. And he said it very confidently. So let's check out this clip real quick from Mr. J.R. Smith.
Trying to accomplish with this move you making right now, this transition that you're in?
My biggest move right now is trying to change as many minds that look like us back into the Afrocentric mindset opposed to the Eurocentric mindset. Like everything we talking about right now, like he was just saying, after he jumps on that grenade, who's going to follow him? We're so trained and it's so embedded to have that Eurocentric mindset that worry about myself, worry about me, worry about mine. I'm not going to help nobody else who look like me build up when everybody else do it but us. When you made over $100 million in your career, right? Is 105 going to change? 110 going to change your lifestyle? Realistically. You know how many people you can change lifestyle with $10 million in our hood? In our communities? We were in the lockout. We were in not the lockout, but we were in the bubble. George Floyd happens.
That's right.
We stopped playing. We're in there. We're gonna ask the owners for it. We're gonna ask the owners for it. Stop asking them for What are we asking them for? I went down the line. No bullshit. You can show. You can ask these dudes if not. I got Paul George sitting right here. I got DeMar DeRozan sitting right here. I got Russell Westbrook sitting right here. I'm literally sitting next to all of these dudes who are LA guys. I'm like, bro, I'm not counting your chips, but everybody else is. So you make 200, you make 200, you make 175, you make 150, you make 180. Why don't y'all have your own gym? Why we gotta go to UCLA to work out in LA every time? You got your own. Y'all all come from the exact same community. You want to inspire kids that look like you. All it takes is 5 of us. 5. 250, 250, 250, 250, 250. What bank gonna turn us down? We about to build this whole shit out for our community. We're gonna build gyms, rec centers, start leagues, and all of that. Who's gonna stop us? We got the money. We don't have the mindset. Our mindset, we'd rather go throw $60,000 in the club, in the strip club. Go throw $60,000 than go feed 2,500 people in the hood.
What do you think about that? I'll tell you what I think. I think he's absolutely right. I think oftentimes we come with a mind of servitude. Now, full disclosure, I'm usually not the guy who wants to talk about the athletes and the quote unquote Black wealthy coming to save everybody. However, he makes a great point, and he's amongst them, right? He's amongst them. Why aren't they putting their money together to make things better for themselves and their community? Now, we have seen some teams, like a lot of the teams, not a lot of teams, but the Golden State Warriors. Many of those guys invest together because of the proximity to Silicon Valley and everything else. But we haven't seen a whole lot of joint ventures together in terms of business, where these are people that have it, that if they put together $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, and if they lost it, worst case scenario, it's not going to change their lives. And it could definitely have a multiplier effect. I've talked about multiplier effect many a time on this show. It's an economic term that basically means that once you spend $1, it's going to generate economic activity of $2, $3, $4, $5. Think of homes, right? When you spend $1 on a home, you have to buy so many things, whether it's a lumber, concrete, roofing, electrical with copper, so forth and so on. It trickles into so many other things. And so what Mr. Smith is talking about truly has a multiplier effect. But as he also stated, it requires a shifting of the mindset. But just imagine if many in the leagues, whether they're athletes, whether there are entertainers that do it, if we had more of that, what would that look like for job potential, business potential in the overall Black community? I think it would be great. But again, everything starts with the mind. Everything starts with the mindset. This will require a major mindset shift in order to get more people on board to think like this and to move like this. Now, I want to show you another clip real quick about the state of Black spending.
For our Equity and Opportunity series, and Frank Holland joins us this morning with a closer look at the growth in Black spending power. Frank.
Hey, good morning to you, Andrew. Black spending power reached a record $1.6 trillion in 2021. The ability to buy, save, and invest more than doubling since 2000. That growth exceeding the full U.S. economy, but actually lagging other ethnic groups. Latinos with a 288% increase, Asians with a 388% increase in spending power. However, other groups, they've also seen an increase in their net worth. Black Americans instead have seen their wealth actually fall by 14%. And with the S&P gaining 27% last year, the value of U.S. homes increasing by 31% last year. Many Black leaders are asking the Black community to really rethink how it spends.
So you saw the numbers. Black spending has increased, but Black net worth is falling. Why is that? Maybe it's because we're kind of playing the same old game and we're not doing anything different. We're not shifting our mindsets. We're not being proactive with our money to invest in different things outside of our homes. It's well known and established through economic studies that, so it's not a secret that many Black folks tend to put the majority of their extra money or their priority of money into their homes, their residential homes, not rental homes, not businesses, but residential living. And I get it. Many of us want to live comfortably. Many of us all the time grew up in not so great situations, and we want to have a better life for ourselves and our children. So we put a lot of stake into our homes, but sadly, homes have been proven to be a target for discrimination, for racism. We've seen it oftentimes with the appraisers that will give bad appraisals for a black family and a black family or in a black community versus the same type household in other communities that are given to a black family or a white family. So we know we're kind of at a disadvantage when we go and buy, residential real estate for us to live in. But oftentimes we haven't figured out that, hey, if we partner on this, and this must be qualified people that are qualified. And what I mean by qualified, I'm not talking about a degree or years of service at a job, but seriousness, people who are ready to do the work. And there was a topic thrown up around there, a term thrown up, European mindset or Eurocentric mindset versus Afrocentric mindset. We're going to talk about that in just a minute, though. But if people have the right mindset, that also can help in what I call making sure that they are qualified to be good partners in these ventures. But to me, those are some of the things we have to be doing in order to, one, destroy the black wealth gap, and two, create a better quality of life for our people, for the people in our community, for the people in our families, for ourselves even. Now, I did want to talk about the terms he dropped, Afrocentric versus Eurocentric. And so y'all know I love to put my definitions on the screen. So give me 1 second and I will put that on the screen. All right, so the best place to go when looking for definitions is the dictionary. So here I pulled up the Merriam-Webster dictionary and we pulled up the definition for Eurocentric. All right, so it says definition of Eurocentric: reflecting a tendency to interpret the world in terms of European or Anglo-American values and experiences. All right, so that's Eurocentrism defined. Afrocentric is centered on or derived from Africa or the Africans, emphasizing or promoting emphasis of African culture and the contributions of Africans to the development of Western civilization. So there's plenty of ideas there. There's plenty of evidence there. Clearly, I'm biased though, right? So I just want to admit to that, put it out the front street that I'm clearly biased. All right. But if you look at Eurocentric thinking versus Afrocentric thinking, a lot of times, a lot of the issues that are taking place in the black community are direct thoughts or direct adherence to Eurocentric thinking. Standards of beauty, standards of intelligence, origins of greatness, right? If you were to listen to some of the most quote unquote notable scholars, they'll tell you Greek and Rome is the center of everything, when in actuality, this is proven. Most of Greek philosophy came from Kemet, which is also known as Egypt, right? Not trying to give y'all a geography lesson, but I think it's important, right, to give context to what Mr. Smith is talking about. Now, if we talk about Willie Lynch, now we all know Willie Lynch is a fictional character, but the Willie Lynch letter, some would say, has proven true, even though it was a fictional character. Totally Eurocentric thinking, totally Eurocentric ways of treating black people, conditioning black people, programming black people or African people to do what was in the best or in the best servings to dominant white Eurocentric society. I think Mr. Smith has a point when he says, how do we switch, or we should be switching from Eurocentric ideology to Afrocentric ideology, because Eurocentric ideology serves Europeans for the most part. Afrocentric ideology serves black folks. Now, when we talk about serving, it's so much deeper than just a tangible thing. Just think about why black people only spend 2% of their spending power with black businesses. Why isn't that number much higher? Are you going to tell me that there are no black-owned businesses? We know that's not true. I talk about them all the time. There are plenty of them. Maggie Anderson talked about them in her book. So if we know that there are plenty good Black-owned businesses out there with great products and services. What other reason do we have to say Black folks not going there, not spending there, not patronizing there? I would say it's Eurocentric ideology. Other thing is, I brought up the unemployment reports, right? Where I said currently 6.9% is Black unemployment, 4% is national unemployment. That's been going on before Martin Luther King marched on Washington. So we're talking about back in the 60s when they started releasing this data. So we're talking over 50, almost 60 years ago, that Black unemployment has always been higher than that of the national standard. I would say that's due to a Eurocentric ideology or mindset as well. Not just perpetrated by those who are Eurocentric in heritage, but I would also say also perpetrated by those that are in African in heritage as well. But what do we do? How do we change this, right? I'm not into just complaining for the sake of complaining. What's action steps? What I would do is, what I would recommend is, I would recommend starting out reading The Miseducation of the Negro. And I am due to do a review of that book very, very soon. I haven't done one. I've been meaning to do one, but sometimes these videos get ahead of where I'm trying to go with this overall production. So I will say, everybody go out and read The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. And by the way, when you order it, please order it from a Black-owned bookstore. Please order it from a Black-owned bookstore. All right? So what I want to know is, if you enjoyed this video, can you please like, comment, and share, right? Subscribe to the channel. And lastly, I want to know, what are your thoughts about J.R. Smith's commentary? Until the next time, I'll see you all later. Kamari Ellis out.